What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the ever-evolving, never-ending Ready, Set podcast. All right, today we're going to be talking some Chicago Bears. Justin Fields, Tyler Bagent, Jalen Johnson, Montez Sweat. Did the Bears make the good move, giving Sweat the extension and not Jalen Johnson? What about the coaching staff? It is madness and chaos when it comes to that. So we're going to get to all of that and more. Let's run the title card, Jim.
I'm back, baby!
All right, everyone. Welcome back. Let's get right into it here. So we've been away a little bit. As you can see, we're about, 10 weeks into the NFL season, and the Bears are doing what the Bears do best, losing and not really looking good while doing it. I mean, who does, I guess. So Justin Fields, I mean, this is a big year for him coming in. The Bears, they went and got a tackle for him. They got some receivers. They traded down from their first pick to bring in DJ Moore. So this was the year for Justin Fields to show that it's not the fact that the Bears had a lack of weapons, but and he wasn't able to show what he could really do because of that. This was the year he's got it all. No more excuses. That's what our boy Colin Cowherd's saying, right? Well, then he dislocates his thumb, and they bring in this guy named Tyler Bagent, who I remember hearing during the training camp months that, this guy was beating out was like PJ Walker. I think he was playing in the USFL. He went somewhere else in the NFL, I believe, and he beat out some, pretty veteran backup quarterbacks. So the Bears obviously knew something that we all didn't. And I kind of wanted to look at that because, for instance, let's go over to let's do this. Justin Fields, he didn't really look good in the first few weeks. You know what I mean? Let alone the first 3 weeks. And that's kind of one of the things I want to look at, because I swear to God, in the 3 or 4, I don't even remember how long, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks he was playing. Every other down, if not every down they played, I was screaming, throw the ball to Justin Fields. If you didn't speak English and all you did is sit there and watch me watch the NFL Bears games on Sunday, you would think Justin Fields' name was throw the ball, because that is how often I say that when I'm watching him. And I wanted to kind of show that really quickly. So let's jump over to YouTube. Shout out to Clasher Sports. We'll put your name down in the description so you can get the credit that you deserve for throwing this video together. But I just want to look at these highlights really quickly to spotlight exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to Justin Fields' progression. I mean, he can't read the field, and we're gonna look at that right now. Let's do that. All right,
Fans have pointed out a couple particular plays in the Bucs game yesterday where on one, Justin completely missed.
Now we're gonna watch this right here.
As well
Look
as
what's going on.
Option by the sidelines. So take a look at this play near the red zone. As the play develops, Justin appears to be looking to check down the football.
This is where I'm yelling, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. I mean, look right here. You got the check down, which is what he's looking at.
Football, however, keeps
opts to
hesitating
go
to
and
throw
runs.
and eventually gets sacked. Another replay angle shows that he had
This is where it's going to get even worse, because you're going to really start to see the deficiencies. Because you see, he had a wide open guy on the right side of the field to check down to. He opted to not go that way and run right up the gut into what was like the A or the B gap, and look how that worked out for him. Now look what happens when you look further.
On the sidelines, as well as the two other receivers. So let's just break this down. Take a look at the still shot and the end result.
Now, I'm going to say this is probably the most egregious I've ever seen. Now, remember, he held the ball for a good 3 to 5 seconds, maybe 4 to 6, I'd say. And that's an eternity in the NFL.
Result from this play was a sack.
Boom. You got a guy coming over right across here. Now, there's two actually open receivers. They just haven't created separation, because obviously this guy is being covered here by this safety. This guy right here, he's got to choose. I've played this position before. It is not fun to be in this position, especially if you're playing man-to-man. But they look like they're in a single high zone here. Because he's running with him. He's down covering here. He's covering up here. Yeah. So this guy looks like he's looking, because this depending where the ball goes, he's going to have to go over here or down to here. And, well, let's just watch.
And the crazy thing is that it's not like he's overthrowing or missing receivers, he's just not throwing the football. There was a lot of criticism from last week's game after the two main players who were expected to lead the Bears offense were only targeted twice each. I don't know if it's the coaching that has messed up Justin Fields, but
I
some of this is
don't
on
know
him.
if it's the
He
coaching,
needs to do a
because
better
we're going
job
to
of
see
reading
what the difference is
defenses and
between these two
finding his
quarterbacks in a
receivers.
second.
This was a slam dunk 6-point play that was gift wrapped right in front of his doorstep. Anyways, as I mentioned earlier, it's crazy now to think that this Chicago front office were sold on Fields as their franchise QB and decided to trade away their number 1 pick. The Bears have missed on so many QBs in the past, from Mitch Trubisky to Jay Cutler.
I would go
but
way
now with
further
Justin
back than
Fields
that, brother.
progressing as he is, this could set the franchise back even further. The next play Justin received a lot of criticism was during late in the fourth quarter when his team were down by 10 at his own 6-yard line. After the snap, Justin threw a pick 6 right into the hands of Shaq
Oh,
Barrett.
jeez. Okay, I've seen enough already. So you can see what I'm saying. Like, when you watch him, it doesn't even seem like he's going through his progressions. I'll be honest, sometimes it looks like he's just guessing. I mean, look at the throw we just watched right there. I mean, he threw a screen pass right into a defensive tackle's arms. Like, come on, man. Like, again, it's holding the ball, not going through your progressions or not going through them enough, opting to run the ball instead of throwing the ball to your number 1 possession receiver or the check down right there. It is infuriating to watch this guy play quarterback. Now, when he got injured, I figured, oh, that's it for the Bears. I mean, just this Bagent guy was not on my radar whatsoever. And then he comes into the game, and I remember the first pass that he threw, it was like, oh, God. I mean, the ball looked great. I just didn't think I was going to see what I was going to see. So let's look at Bagent really quick. This is going to come from Devo Highlights. Again, we'll throw that link down in the description, and shout out to the creator. Let's jump over here to the video. Actually, we'll go full screen for you guys. All right, look at that. Let's watch that again really quick. Watch what he does. He gets the ball. He's going to move out here to his left. And watch his feet and how quickly the ball gets out. Boom. Over and into DJ Moore's hands, nonetheless. Do another one. Let's watch that again, actually. Look at that feet work. Look at how his feet moving. Boom, boom. Look, and he goes through his progressions. Look at this. Ball's going to get hiked. He's looking. 1, 2, 3. Ball out. That's what you're looking for. I've not seen Justin Fields do that at all this year. Let's see what else we got. Look at that feet work. Look at those feet. He's moving. He's on the run. Is he going to run? Run. Fake pump. First down. I think he ran for a touchdown in that drive later on too, didn't he? Fake punt. Fake. You know what I meant. Pump fake. There we go. Ball's out right away. Look at that. Let's watch it again. He's out. He's out. Boom. Finds receiver. Ball out. First down. Quick releases. Great footwork. He's in the pocket. Look at that. Gets out. Finds some space. Boom. Ball out. What else we got here? Now, again, what are you noticing in all of these things? The ball gets hiked. Ball out. You know, these quick releases. Now, in the previous video, they said, oh, maybe it's the coaching for Justin Fields. Maybe these coaches don't have it right. Because I don't know if anyone remembers, but the narrative in those first month of the NFL was basically this undertone of the reason Justin Fields is failing is because of racism. Like, give me a break. Like, it's not racism. Like, you mean that's an insane argument. That is someone that doesn't even watch sports, because race clearly is just not on anybody's mind when you're playing sports, unless you're talking shit. That's a different thing and a completely different hamburger altogether. Now, this is why I like Bagent. Now, I will say, let's not pretend, he's the greatest thing since Dan Marino. Quite the contrary, might I add, because these highlights we are watching were from a few weeks ago, from a few wins. He hasn't looked that great in the last 2 weeks. If you look, because he's had a few interceptions. That's right off the top of my head. I think he had 2 the week before. I can't remember. I think he had at least 1 during the Carolina game. So that tells me the league is starting to adjust to Bagent, because in these highlights that we watched those first few weeks that he played, no one really had any tape on the guy. I mean, he came from a Division II school from West Virginia. So, I mean, there's tape that exists, but like, again, when you're Division I, Division II, there's kind of a drop off in competition there. So you can't really scheme, or it just takes a few weeks for the NFL to adjust to these new guys. It's the same in baseball, and that's a whole nother thing. Oh, by the way, Craig Counsell, Cubs, good stuff. All right. Anyway, so that's kind of the Justin Fields Bagent thing. I know a lot of people. I personally like Bagent. I think the Bears should stick with Bagent, but considering where Justin Fields is, as his first round pick, he's got his contract coming up. They're probably gonna put him back into the game and start. And I mean, I guess I just don't like him. He doesn't throw the ball. His feet aren't that great. He usually opts to run instead of going through his progressions. And it's not as fun to watch as it is with this Bagent guy. I just like him a lot better. So then on the other side of the ball, we've had a few moves by the Bears. They had an opportunity to draft Jalen Carter out of Georgia, the Bulldogs. I forgot which one that is. I think it's Georgia State. No, don't correct me. I don't know which one it is. It's Georgia, the Bulldogs. They had Jalen Carter, defensive end. I think he went to the Eagles. And I believe the thought process behind that was he wouldn't be a good locker room fit. And if you're curious why that is the case, he was, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but a bit of a case stemming against him when he was in college. Let's bring that up really quickly here. So as you can see, Carter, 22, previously pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor charges of reckless driving and racing for his reported role in the January 15th incident when he allegedly raced a vehicle driven and ultimately crashed by recruiter Chandler LaCroix. Both LaCroix and his teammate Devin Wilcox, 21, were killed in the accident. And, sure, some people, mainly on the younger side of things, might say, what's the big deal about that? But, think about this. You're on a Division I football team. I think the Bulldogs won the championship last year. Either way, they were in the running for it, especially at the time of this. I believe, if not, they had already, because it was January 15th. They hadn't had the national championship yet. So, and I think they were in that championship game. So this just kind of shows you this guy kind of lacks decent critical thinking, because when you're in a Division I school, you're going to be playing for a championship game. You're obviously a top 5, 10 pick in the draft, and you're deciding to race your friends on the side of the road in which ultimately 2 people die. Yeah, it doesn't really suggest that this person has great decision-making abilities. So the Bears decided to opt against drafting Jalen Carter, went with a tackle, and that kind of created, a lot of fodder for the media to say the Bears, they need a defensive end. Where are they going to get a defensive end? They need a defensive end. Can they sign a defensive end? Where will they find a defensive end? Well, my friends, the Bears solved that via the trade deadline and ended up getting Montez Sweat via a second-round pick from the Commanders, and then they turned around and signed him to a 4-year, $98 million extension, I believe, with $62 million guaranteed. And what is he making here? Annual average value of $24.5 million a year, just below Myles Garrett at 25. And what's the guaranteed on this? The Bears were anticipating a lean pass rusher market coming to free agency. Earlier the week, the Packers locked Rashawn Gary into a long-term extension. League sources figure after the Panthers haven't dealt Brian Burns ahead of 2 trade deadlines that they will franchise tag him next year, which will probably happen to Jalen Johnson with the Bears, but we will get into that in just 1 second. The trade deadline was the best opportunity to find that player, even if it meant paying a little more in draft compensation today over paying more in salary in March. The Bears have needed a pass rushing help since the offseason, and Sweat appears to be in the early prime of his career at 27 years old. It was a great pickup. I mean, it's a great trade if you think about it. You got that defensive end. The free agency market is going to be lean, and I don't know if there's a lot of defensive ends coming up for them to draft next year. And not to mention, you have 2 picks right now that are in the top 5. Justin Fields, I mean, I like Bagent, but I don't like him, I wouldn't keep him over a top 5 draft pick either, At that point, I mean, I guess I should have gotten into this before we jumped here. Let me jump back really quick. I would say the Bears need to trade Fields, get something for him. Bagent's a great backup. You just develop him. And then if he ends up getting even better than, which is highly doubtful, the person you're going to draft in the next, top 5, there's a saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. But you can also develop him and trade him off to some team that's going to need a quarterback, because there's always some teams that are going to need a quarterback. So I think that's what the Bears at this point should do. Trade Fields, develop Bagent, keep him on his rookie deal, draft another quarterback with one of the 2 picks you have coming up. Now, let's talk about why this why this Montez Sweat deal is awesome for the Bears. Because now, let's think about it. You have both quarterbacks on rookie deals. You trade Justin Fields, because his deal's about to come up. You trade you trade him away. Now you get a draft pick. You're still with Bagent on a rookie deal. You draft, whichever quarterback the Bears are going to, whichever the Bears like coming out of this next year's draft, which is supposed to be very deep with quality quarterback talent. Let's just hope the Bears don't screw it up like the Panthers did, and hopefully go the route that the Texans did. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The Bears, with these rookie deals coming up with the quarterbacks, this means that they have the money now to spend on a defensive end. And everyone knows it. Like, look at what Bill Polian did with the Colts. You get a guy like Peyton Manning, and then you get a defensive end. Because when you have a guy like Peyton Manning, you're going to be ahead in the third quarter, which allows you to take these defensive ends, pin their ears back behind their heads, as they say, and just send them after the QB. So that seems to be the route the Bears are taking right now. And I like that, because you can afford to pay this guy $25 million, because a defensive end is definitely an important piece for a football team. Now, what would you say is probably not an important piece? And it's something that's, it's integral to the team, but is it worth, another $25 million? Would you pay someone who doesn't really touch the ball, that often, just the same amount of money that you're paying, Montez Sweat to, go after the quarterback? And my answer to that is absolutely not. Why would you pay Jalen Johnson? I think he wants almost $20 to $25 million a year for everything he's done. Now, he's been a part of the Bears for since 2020, I think, is when they drafted him. He had one game this year where 2 interceptions, and this guy's asking for like $19-20 million a year. I mean, I don't really see what he's doing out there that is, going to basically allow for that money to be acceptable, And then obviously he wanted an extension earlier this year. He didn't get it. Montez Sweat gets one. And it's probably a little awkward, but you got to be a professional about it, right? So what I think's happening here is, I think the Bears, their plan is, you've got quarterbacks on a rookie deal. You can afford to pay Montez Sweat that $25 million a year for 4 years. Now, what do you do with Jalen Johnson? Well, you're probably gonna have to franchise tag him, and then probably not pay him in the long run. I mean, I just can't see it. Like, let's say the Bears franchise tag Jalen Johnson next year. What is going to happen afterwards? Like, eventually they're going to have to sign him to this deal. Now, do you sign him to a 3-year, $65 million deal? Probably not. He's not going to accept that. There's not a lot of security in that, but there's barely any security in the NFL at all, because you can always be released and your contract is not guaranteed. What is guaranteed is that upfront money, and that's probably going to be how they end up signing him. But I find that you can find another cornerback. I just don't see why a football team would need to pay a guy like that $20 million a year. All right, so let's go into the next part here, and that is the Chicago Bears and the canning of management. What is going on? Like, we've talked about the offensive side of the ball. We've talked about the defensive side of the ball. Now we got to talk about management. And we all know how I feel about the owners. I'm just going to leave it at that. We're not going to talk about the owners right now, but I really want to talk about Matt Eberflus, a defensive head coach that I have no idea why is working in the NFL right now. Now, before we get to Eberflus, one of a sign of a good manager, a good operator, is the people that are working beneath him. And when you're an operator, when you're a head coach, you're coaching the coaches, as they say, or like in restaurant terms. I always look at I guess the general manager, of a larger restaurant would be similar to a head coach, because you have the GM and then, the 3, 4, 5 managers underneath them. And that person's responsibility is, running the restaurant, but it's also coaching the coaches, managing the managers, if you will. And I don't think Eberflus is doing a great job of that this year. Case in point, Does anyone remember earlier this season when Alan Williams left the Bears over apparently inappropriate activity? It was being reported at the time that he was raided by the NFL, and it turns out that he was resigned. He resigned last week in part because of inappropriate activity. Now, nobody knows what that is, nor is it being devolved through the media, but he was not involved in any criminal activity. But the Bears Human Resources Department was part of the process that culminated in his abrupt resignation Wednesday. So to me, that sounds like he got called up to the office and they're like, look, we're going to fire you, but you probably will want to just publicly resign before we do that. Because if you don't, we're just going to can you publicly. So he just comes out and says, I'm going to take a step back, take care of my health and family. Both the Bears and Williams' lawyers sent a report of the police activity was inaccurate. So it was just, bad reporting by someone reporting, just misinformation, if you will. And that's got to be unfortunate, But I will say the fact that this guy was resigning over inappropriate activity and then, what was this? Not even a few weeks. Oh, lovely. Got ESPN. They're so bad. Let's wait for that to load. Within 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, which was maybe 6 weeks after this happened, the Bears have to let go of their running backs coach. Again, workplace behavior. Fired running backs coach David Walker, Matt Eberflus announced Wednesday morning. A source told ESPN that Walker's dismissal was because of his behavior in the workplace. Walker had been previously reprimanded by the Bears Human Resource Department for workplace conduct, according to the source, and a second such instance led to his firing. So now I'm left to wonder, you have two coaches being dismissed almost pretty close to the same reason. One guy fine, two guys. Now I'm starting to wonder what's going on culture-wise at the top, and that starts with Matt Eberflus. Now, they won't say what these workplace incidences are, which is interesting because at this point it could be anything, but it kind of just shows the dysfunction that Eberflus is bringing into the Bears. You have coaches being dismissed. He's calling the defensive plays now, which I don't even know how. Do they even have a defensive coordinator? So is he just the head coach and defensive coordinator? They must have whatever. I'm not getting into the inner workings of all that. It just shows the chaos that is going on with the Bears right now internally, and it's extremely unfortunate. And there's other ways you can see this turmoil the Bears are creating because it comes out on the field. And you're probably asking yourself, well, how the hell is that possible? Well, I'll show you. Penalties. If you watch enough Bears games like I do, penalties are a problem with the Bears. Now, let's look at this. This is all the penalties week 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 penalties. Oh, look at this. You got one on 3rd and 7. Another one on 4th. Without defensive back. Third. So that killed the third. That was Jalen Johnson. $20 million a year, bro, and you're creating penalties like that on 3rd down, huh? Okay. Illegal contact nonetheless. You got a false start, which clearly that's a 4th and 7, so that's not that. Offensive holding on 2nd and 10. Offensive pass interference on 3rd and 19. I mean, these are horrible penalties for a bad team. I mean, it just shows. This is what I'm saying. It shows the dysfunction. You're seeing the dysfunction of the team coming out. You're seeing this dysfunction of the team coming out on the field via penalties, is what I'm trying to say. And this is just bad. This is horrible. This is, they have 2 picks next year. Yeah, they have some options, what they can do. But this is all like upper management stuff. On the field, how the team is being managed. It's just not good. You got players, making penalties. You have coaches who knows doing what in the workplace. I feel if it was sexual harassment, that would come out. Maybe they're yelling at guys. I mean, let's not forget, a lot of these guys that are playing for the Bears, they're in their 20s. And everyone knows all these kids in their 20s, they're a little fucking soft. Just a little. They're kind of soft, right? They're a little soft. I think they're soft. So that's kind of where we're at with the Bears. I have no idea what is going to happen. Maybe they'll have the 1st and 2nd pick. It might be the 1st and 3rd. I don't know. The Giants are playing horrible. The Arizona is even worse. They brought back Kyler Murray, and I don't. Who knows? that'll be an interesting how that works with the Cardinals, the Bears. What are the Cardinals going to do? Are they going to take another quarterback? They do have Kyler Murray. Maybe they go Marvin Harrison Jr. That seems to be what a lot of people want. Anyway, this isn't about the draft. This is just about the Bears' offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, and their disastrous coaching, the coaching staff. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Bears. We'll have more videos on that. So that's going to do it for us today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Just wanted to add really quickly, we have a Twitch channel. It is Brewmaster Joe, BRUMASTERJOE. We're going to not be doing podcast stuff on Twitch. I'm just going to be playing some video games, maybe doing some video reactions. Going to be playing Star Citizen, WoW Classic. I want to say this Friday night, we might be playing some Star Citizen on Twitch. It's just nice and relaxed, nothing too crazy. We're just going to be playing some video games and having some fun. So please join us. Please go over to Twitch, Brewmaster Joe, BRUMASTERJOE. You'll see the Ready Set podcast. It's a different logo, one we used earlier on in the podcast, but you'll see it, so everyone will know that is us. So please give us a follow, and we'll see you out there on Twitch. And then just lastly, wanted to get this out of the way. We hit 120 subscribers earlier, around the summer, I believe. And I did say we would be doing a hair reveal, lack of hair reveal. I mean, we'll see what it is. And we'll get to that. I was originally going to do actually the hair reveal on a video, like in between a few stories, but then I realized, like, why would I sandwich it in between all of that when I could just probably do it on a video, do it in a video on its own. So I think that's what we're going to do. I just haven't decided when yet. I'll probably do a preview video to let everyone know that it's coming, because it's going to be a video off on its own. And we'll just do that. So let me know what you think. If you guys, if you're frustrated with the Bears just like I am, let me know in the comments what you think. What do the Bears need to do? Should they trade Fields? Do they keep him? Do they draft a quarterback, first time around? Maybe they draft a receiver, then a quarterback. You let me know what you think. Should they fire Eberflus? Should they keep him for next year? Do you think he's doing a good job? Let me know down in the comments, all right? All right, thanks for tuning in to the ever-evolving, never-ending Ready Said podcast. If society's a joke, then we're just here for the full set. We'll see you next week, you fucks.